What up, guys? Grubby Jeff here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. This is part 2 of our 3-part series on Masteries. I will try and make these as quick as possible. And hey, if you're an advanced player and you know all about Masteries and you don't need any help, then this video is not for you. This is just basic stuff on these Masteries, how and where you can use them. Alright, so here we go. We're just doing defense this time, so let's start off with the first one here. Tough Skin, plus 75 defense, and we have Defiant, plus 10 resist. So these two, this is the magic of this one particular tree, is they're kind of both, who cares? So this is all about tier 2 when it comes to it. Where are you going with it? So, I mean, 10 resist really is kind of, I would say it's worse than the 75 defense, but not by a heck of a lot. So it's really more about your second move. So that's how you want to plan accordingly when you pick these two. Don't just pick willy-nilly. Plus 75 defense is not going to do that much. So that being said, we can move on quickly to the second tier. We'll just start over here. We have the Blast Proof. Decreases damage received from AoE attacks by 5%. Kind of a nice little thing to have on anyone who's in the arena. Can definitely be a help. You can definitely, any boss really, because they all do AoE attacks. Doom Tower, you're going to get some stuff there. Since it's not predicated on, you know, having defense or anything, it works well on attack-based champions if you wanted to go that route. It definitely works well on your support champions and everything like that, because it's not augmenting having defense already there, resistance already there. So it's kind of just a nice little cover-all move. Obviously with that, you'd probably start up here with Tough Skin. Just because it's the only way to do it, otherwise you have to go down and across. Alright, next one up is Rejuvenation. Increases the amount of healing and value of shield buffs this champion receives. This is also a nice one to go for an attack champion if for some reason you want to take him down the defensive tree. Basically, they're going to get more shields and you get more heals. So if you have, you know, a miscreated monster and he's dropping those monster shields on people, no pun intended, this is going to augment that shield so it's even bigger, you know. So same with the heals, you know, you're going to get even bigger heals on this one. So a nice little additive. Again, it doesn't matter about the stats, which is really nice. You can just, their stats don't matter, it doesn't play into any effect whatsoever. So that's a nice solid one to keep your team alive a little bit more, especially your squishier champs. Gives you a little bit of a reason to go down the defense tree, especially if they don't have anything they cast, so there's no reason for support. We go into Mighty Endurance. Decreases the damage received by 10% if this champion has Stun, Sleep, Fear, True Fear, or Freeze debuffs. This kind of helps if you're building a champion with super low resistance and, you know, you're going against some arena champions, like if you have a guy specifically built out to go against a Shald or anything like that, or if you want to do, you know, Ice Golem, things like that. This one's kind of super niche. It just, basically when they're taken out for a round, you're making sure they're not getting wiped out. But 10%, like in the arena especially, is most likely not enough to not get wiped. So you really need to have a team in mind when you're using this one, in my mind. For a second tier stuff, it's a little too specific. Again, my opinion on this. Then we go to Improved Parry. Decreases the damage received by this champion by 8% when this champion is hit with a critical hit. Much better than the previous one in my mind. Especially for arena and stuff like that, where it's nothing but critical hits. You never get normal or weak hits. So if you have a champion you're trying to keep alive, or even like, you know, someone like, gosh, just your damage dealer, or if you have like a cardinal, someone who's supposed to let everyone else die around them so they're going to pop people back up, this is going to do it for her. She's going to take 8% less damage, let her team get wasted, then she pops her revive, everybody comes up with full turn meter, or max turn meter, and full moves, so they can just devastate the other team. Very, very nice move for that. Come down to the third tier, Wisdom of Battle. 30% chance of placing a block debuffs buff on this champion for 1 turn when Stun, Sleep, Fear, True Fear, or Freeze debuffs expire on this champion. So this kind of builds off that last one we were talking about. Mighty Endurance, if you're going to go this way, you might as well. You could argue go with Wisdom of Battle. Again, this is predicated on you surviving it. So for something like if you're fighting waves, this could be somewhat helpful. You know, Doom Tower waves where they're coming at you with fear after fear after fear, because it's going to protect you for that one turn, so you can actually get your turn back. Again, in the arena, you probably aren't surviving your first fear or your first stun, so it's not as effective there. In lower tier arena, yeah, I could see how this might have a little bit more effect. And then, like, if you're using it for, like, clan boss or something like that, it's a one-turn block debuff, so you're not going to make it back around to the next stun, so it just has no use there. I don't even think you could build a champion slow enough to let the boss lap you that many times just to see if you could get it to work. But, anyways, yeah, so, again, it's alright, I guess, but it feels like you need to know the champion you're going against. Not only do you need to know the champion you're going against, you need to know that they're faster than you. So it's just... Anyways, on to the next one. Bloodthirst. Heals this champion by 10% of their max HP when they kill an enemy target. Cooldown 1 turn. Yeah, basically, so like you can't have Septimus and all that kind of stuff. Just super mega hit in this one. But it is a great little skill. It's a great skill. Anyone in Spider Team is going to do well with this. They're going to get that 10% back. You could put it in arena champs who are your hitters in a go second team. I mean, clan boss is not going to be useful. You're not going to kill the clan boss. But yeah, any wave crushing stuff kind of gets you ready to maybe head into that boss fight. It could possibly just get you a little bit more health, or faction wars especially. You get that little bit of health before you go fight that boss, plus the bonus health in between each round, so it can kind of top you up a little bit. But definitely more of a damage dealer type thing. Or one of your real strong defensive damage dealers as well would do well with this one. Alright, so we go over to Resurgent. Has a 50% chance to remove one random debuff from this champion when they lose 25% of their max HP or more from a single enemy skill. Arena, you can't remove a debuff. Well, I guess you remove all your debuffs when you die, when your champion dies. A half chance to remove one debuff randomly. So it might be that decreased defense or that decreased attack, so you're ready to rock and roll for the next round you're surviving to. But you just lost 25% of your health, and it could be that half strength poison that it removes. So, it's meh. I mean, I guess you could argue clan boss when you get the stun with the big hit. If you have a stun target that loses a bunch of their health on an unkillable team, maybe this removes it. If you don't have the, block debuffs or anything on them. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Because usually, yeah, half chance and random. It's too many ifs. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of Resurgent. Shadow Heal. This heals this champion by 6% of their max HP each time an enemy is healed. Occurs once per turn. I put this on a ton of champions in the beginning when I first was playing. It is an excellent little thing to get that extra bonus heal, especially in, well, the meta in arena has changed a little bit, but in mid-tier arena, when you do still find quite a bit of healers, this is not bad to top up your own champions. Again, Doom Tower, Faction Wars, where they are healing. You can think of like Dragon 20, they got the Apothecary there, so this can maybe top you up a little bit. That's kind of what you have to think about this, but this is more of like an in route to a different skill, and it does have that kind of 6% of your max HP is not bad for the enemy doing something. And it's each time the enemy is healed. There's no reset, there's no counter, there's no nothing, so I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Shadow Heal. Just because it requires you to not even have... You don't even have to have a healer on your team, and you're getting heals. It's like having Leech and Lifesteal as well. Just really, really cool thing. Alright, so we'll drop down to Tier 4. We'll start with Solidarity. Increases allies' resist by 5 for each buff placed on them by this champion. I mean, you're talking your Seafies, your... one of the Duchess, anyone like that. This actually helps out quite a bit. Give them an extra 20-ish, resist. But still, I mean, 20 resist is... This is something you put on a champion when you can get the rest of your team right there. Like they're almost there, but you just don't have the gear to do it. That's really what this thing is for. I mean, resist is great if you build a strong enough team. But if you get high enough in the arena, I mean, there are whale beyond whales that are going to just take you out. So resist is, I guess, more Doom Tower focused. Maybe, I know you could build resist teams to get through a lot of the faction war bosses, so this might help on that as well. If you had multiple champs that were casting multiple buffs on the same team, you could really build a resist team. But, you know, again, it's a niche thing. You got to know what you're building. You got to know the team you're putting it into. As is a lot of defense. All right, next one. Delayed Death reduces the damage this champion receives from a specific enemy by 0.75% with each hit taken from that enemy. Damage reduction stacks up to 6% for each enemy, which is really cool. This is great against clan boss. Nice little damage, you know, reduction, because you know who your enemy is going to be. It's from a specific enemy. So that's great. For the waves, I mean, hopefully you're killing them to the point where you're not having to save up to 6% to get that damage reduction, so it's taking you far too long to get there. Individual boss fights, like now with the dungeons from 20 to 20 or 21 to 25, I can see this being more valuable since you are getting hit multiple times by the dungeon bosses. Yeah, it's just kind of, I like it a lot for clan boss. That's where I really, really like it. Other than that, like arena and stuff, you're not having this many go rounds. And less than 1% on the first hit and then 1.5% on the second hit is just not enough for arena to have any real value. All right, moving on to the next one. We have Harvest Despair, 60% chance of placing a leech debuff for 1 turn when you place a stun, sleep, fear, true fear, or freeze debuffs. This is nice. Like you put it on Shiramani, someone who's going to freeze out the entire team, and all of a sudden there's leech. So now you're healing your entire team while doing crowd control. I mean, and that's going to work anywhere you have a crowd. Obviously on bosses, well, they don't stun, sleep, fear, true fear, or freeze. So it's really only a crowd thing. In the arena, it works pretty well. You know, I mean, you're going to put the leeches out there. Hopefully your team's wiping the other team, so you won't need that leech. But just the fact that there's so much counterattack now in the arena, and there's so much. We'll actually get to a couple masteries that help you with counterattack as well in the arena. So yeah, sometimes you need a little bit of health back. So kind of a nice little talent for a crowd control thing. All right, Stubbornness. Increases resist by 10 for each debuff on this champion, stacks up to 30. Again, if you're building a resist champion, Stubbornness is great. If you're not, it's a huge waste, because 30 is not enough. If you're not kitting out your champion to be a resist champion, 30 is just not enough. Besides, I mean, resist is for each debuff. So, I mean, you really have to look at the logic behind this one. Resist is meant to resist debuffs. It can stack up to 30, which means you have 3 debuffs already on you. So what's the point? Stop you to get more? I mean, I get that. So I guess, like, if they're trying to load poison, so they'll pop you with a Zavia. But for the most part, it just doesn't make sense to me. It seems like a waste. I know I'm kind of backtracking a little bit on this one, but it just doesn't make sense. You're building up your ability to resist stuff after you've already been debuffed. So. Now, if it carried from fight to fight, like if you were doing a Doom Tower level and after the first round you move on to the second round, you still carried that 30, okay, maybe. Maybe. But not a fan. Not a fan. Alright, Deterrence has a 20% chance to counterattack an enemy when they apply a stun, sleep, fear, true fear, or freeze debuff on an ally. This one's kind of nice. It works pretty well in the arena. It can work pretty well in certain boss fights and Doom Tower, Faction Wars, all the standard stuff. But, you know, Mashal or whatever throws this up there, you turn around, counterattack. Not bad. If you compare him with Inquisitor Shamal or whatever his name is, Shamal, when they cast Fears, he's going to attack anyways. He attacks with debuffs. Put this on someone else. They have a chance to counterattack, so all of a sudden you have double counterattackers when they're debuffing. Can be pretty cool. A lot of cool stuff with that. Yeah. Trundas, I guess, if they're doing their stuns, who knows. They're probably wiping you, but anyways, it's got some play in it. Retribution, 50% chance to counterattack when this champion loses 25% max HP or more from a single enemy skill. This is the one you see quite a bit in the arena. You see it quite a bit in clan boss and whatnot, just to get that extra attack. Especially in unkillable teams where they're getting their butt whooped all the time. Then they get that extra hit, plus maybe they have a counterattack. Someone, so like maybe it'll proc on the off cycle when the counterattack's not up. If you have ally attack, it's just a really great way to throw out some extra damage. You see a lot of Skull Crowns in the arena have this. Because they have their unkillable proc, but this one is going to hit, so they can take down just a teeny bit of that health first, just on their retribution attack, which is really, really nice. And it can level teams, you know, so that's how retribution works. Cycle of Revenge, 50% chance of increasing the turn meter by 15% when an ally is attacked with a critical hit. Will only increase the turn meter once if an ally receives multiple critical hits from a single skill. So this can really stack up and build someone up. You see it on Seafies, you see it on Arbiters. A lot of arena play on this one. Obviously, you're not going to see it too much in speed-tuned teams for like Clan Boss or any dungeon runs because it can throw everything out of whack. Because you can't be guaranteed a critical hit. I mean, I like it. It's a solid move. It's a great way to cut in line of other people's teams in the arena. You see it all the time. People cut right through because they have this Cycle of Revenge. They're getting that speed up. And then all of a sudden, you know, you've had your debuffer go, boom, they slam him. Then you turn around all of a sudden, wait a minute, it's supposed to be my guy's next turn. I thought I had it speed tuned properly. Well, you sped up someone else and they cut. So it's a nice little way of doing that. We got our final one on 5th tier, Selfless Defender. We have decreases the damage an ally receives from the first enemy hit in each round by 20%. This champion will receive that damage instead. So this is your perfect thing to throw on your HP monsters or your super high defensive players. You know, you could put it on Valk, a miscreated monster. By and large, a huge fan of this one on him. Just to absorb that blow, especially because Miscreated Mana has a monster self-heal. Just a huge self-heal. So, what's that new one? Volgrath. He's a good candidate for this. Anyone who just can tank out big time. Any tank in general. Solid pick. Again, it's not for your long-term battles. This is for your quick fights. So, a go second team in the arena. Solid mastery for it. Alright, final tier here. Iron Skin plus 200 defense. These would be a lot cooler if it was like plus 200 defense on your base stat, so all your percentages would work off of it, but it's just a plus 200. It's not bad, especially if you're struggling for defensive gear, but you're missing out on some other stuff that's a lot better in the other mastery pools. So I'm not a huge fan of this unless you, for some reason, just have to have it. Have to have it. Maybe on a Valk, because her shield's based off of her defense. But even then, it seems like kind of a waste to come all the way down here and do that. Moving on to the next one. Bulwark decreases the damage all allies receive by 5%. This champion will receive that damage instead. Again, if you have a super tank, not a bad trait, especially for clan boss and stuff like that. Someone who can actually absorb all that damage. It's going to get that health back, or just has enough health that it doesn't matter. This is a huge one. Lets your basically your attack champions and your damage dealers focus more on what they're supposed to, damage and attack. So, something to think about if you're building out a massive tank. Alright, moving on. Fearsome Presence increases the chance of placing stun, sleep, freeze, fear, true fear, or provoke debuff from skills or artifacts by 5%. I mean, crowd control, that's a nice little thing to get. You can't get it in the accuracy tree for these particular debuffs, but here it is, the extra 5%. Help you take that edge up. In the arena, every little piece counts when you're trying to lock someone down, so it has some play. Doom Tower, again, where you struggle towards the end when the resistance gets crazy high, 5% is going to help a ton. So, plus, you know, you can maybe drop a little bit of accuracy if you can't quite get there, other things like that. So it's a nice little tack on for someone that has to be a crowd controller. When that is their sole primary focus, and you're not worried about damage or anything else out of them, Fearsome Presence is an excellent mastery use for them. And our final one, unshakable, plus 50 resist. I don't like it. I mean, I'm not a fan of any of these for the resist side. It just doesn't make sense to me. 50? Just need a resist banner and a resist chest. I mean, if you want to go all resist, yeah, 50 will take you up a notch. And I know there's probably guys in Plat Arena and, you know, high tier Gold 4 that are running unshakable all the time because they just don't want anything to happen to their champs. But it's like, if you need it, hey, it's 50. It's a free 50. You don't have to waste any gear on it whatsoever, and you can re-gear another way. But again, this is super niche. This is someone who's building a very specific style team. This is not to throw on for any beginner or mid-tier player who just wants a little more resist on their champion. This is a huge waste if you're going for any other build. There's just way more better stuff you could do. You go back to the offensive tree, go over to the support tree. There's stuff you can do that's a little bit better than 50 resist. So, again, very niche, but effective. All right, thank you so much. This has been the Masteries for Defense. I'll be doing the support one hopefully tomorrow and get that out for you. Anyways, have a good night. Hit subscribe, bells, notifications. And if you're a beginner and this helped you out, let me know how and why. And if there's anything else I can do for you, just leave a message below. Have a good one.